Welcome to the Inspiring Leadership Podcast, where we seek to elevate your leadership and transform your workplace. My name is Dominic Siow. I'm delighted to be the host of this show. With my team at eqstrategist, we seek to bring you a dose of healthy inspiration and practical insights into how to enhance team performance, cultivate resilience, foster collaboration, and shape culture. My guest today is someone I deeply admire, not just for what he teaches, but for how he lives. Dr. William Wan has lived a life of extraordinary depth and service. He's still practicing in law, has worked across non-profits, lived and served in both Singapore and Canada, and has spent decades championing kindness in society. He's been the General Secretary of Singapore Kindness Movement and also the World Kindness Movement. He's also a devoted husband, father, and grandfather. What strikes me most is this. Dr. Wan is in his late 70s, yet he radiates energy, joy, and genuine fulfillment. He's quite simply one of the happiest, kindest, and most loved people I know. In this conversation, we don't just talk about kindness as an idea. We explore the life experiences that shaped him, what led him to dedicate so much of his life to kindness, what fulfillment really means, and how these insights translate into leadership, culture, and the way organizations perform. This is not a conversation about soft leadership. It's about deeply human leadership. Dr. Wan, it's truly an honor to have you on the Inspiring Leadership Podcast.
Thank you, Dom. I think you have been very kind in your introduction. I almost can't recognize myself.
Can't speak enough about the time when our amazing mutual friend introduced us.
Right.
Mr. Khoo Seng Thiam.
Right.
Since then, just journeying with you, the numerous conversations we've had about life, watching the amazing podcasts, and I know you've written multiple books. Thank you so much for the latest copy. This is your 14th book. You are an inspiring role model of someone who not just teaches, but more importantly, models kindness, humanity, fulfillment. I couldn't wait for the world to see the man in action and learn even more from the amazing legacy you're creating every day.
Thank you for all that. I'm humbled. I always think of it as, doing what I can, the best I can with what I have. And I've never thought of myself as anything more than just an ordinary person trying to live a life that would be useful, purposeful, meaningful, hopefully impactful.
I want you to know that the impact is tremendous. Rest assured, just even watching your TED Talks couldn't help but be inspired. And I know that everyone that watches it, I want to encourage the wonderful audience here to check them out. Dr. Wan, you have lived a very rich and diverse life. Canada, Singapore, law, non-profits, kindness movement, amazing family man. Before we talk about kindness, maybe tell us a little bit about what shaped you in your early days to mold you to become the person you are today.
Well, I think that I can go back to a turning point. I think in life there are many milestones, but for some of us there are turning points. And one of the key turning points was when I was 14.
Wow.
And I was in secondary school. And I discovered God. So I became a Christian and trying to understand what it means to believe in God. And as a result, I think my life turned around. I wasn't interested in school per se. I was very playful, raised, really without a father to a great extent. My father was wandering all over the place. I hardly saw him. My mother raised me, and I was a latchkey kid and spent a lot of time playing rather than studying. But at 14, when I became a Christian, things happened to me. I started to be interested in my studies and became a pretty good student. And then the rest is history. But it changed my life. That was a turning point.
Tell me, you say you found God at 14. That's absolutely amazing. How did that happen?
Well, in those days, in our schools, there were different religious groups, and one of them was a Christian group, and I was brought to a meeting and heard, the old gospel, which is still the same old gospel. And I accepted that gospel for my own life, and it just became part of me.
Wow.
And it's been many years now. This year I'm 79.
Right.
So that's, 1479. You can count, it's a long journey. I'm still learning about my faith. I'm still learning about how to be more godly. I think this idea about godliness fascinates me. How can we be a better version of myself? That's what it's all about.
Wow.
And how can I have a sense of peace with myself, with God, with others, so that I try to live my life, loving God and loving my neighbors.
Wow.
And that's how I try to live. And the rest of all that I have been doing is about that, about loving God and about loving my neighbors.
Absolutely amazing. We have very similar beliefs, I think.
Yeah,
I was
believe
born
that.
a
Yes.
Catholic, and yet, I was kind of encrusted into that whole space, Sunday Mass, you're kind of forced to due to your parents and all that. And then you came in through your own volition in many ways.
Yes. I need to say something about that too. Everybody knows I'm a Christian, but I also believe that we should be able to have conversation about our faith without imposing it on others.
Absolutely.
People need to have an option, an opportunity to make their own choices. And I hope that, every one of us who have made a choice about believing, we should practice our belief, sincerely and genuinely.
Yes.
That will make the world a better world. I think any religion, any faith should be making the world a better world. And that to me is a test of how good that religion is. So we need to do that. And each of us need to be responsible for what we believe and how we behave.
I like what you're saying, I think in general it's not just about believing in it, but really being a model of it, practicing it.
Right, practicing it.
As a youth going to church on Sunday, very often some things that turn us off is you go in there and you see all these, you hear all these wonderful things, and yet the moment you head out to the car park, right?
And
it's almost like kindness stops.
Yes.
And you become that Sunday church Christian.
Right.
Just observing through all your work and learning from it, you've always communicated and really espoused the practice of kindness, the practice of, not necessarily using.
And that's why I was delighted when I was asked to run the Singapore Kindness Movement, because from the reading of my own religious text, I am fully aware that kindness is a fruit of the Holy Spirit.
Right.
And so to be able to run kindness, to be able to encourage Singapore and all the people in Singapore and the world to be kinder, I think it was something that I felt was worth doing.
Fantastic. How did that come into your life? There were so many paths you could have taken. You have a law, you start off a law firm, you got a legal practice, and yet you've chosen to spend a lot of your life in kindness. How did that come into your life?
Well, kindness came about in terms of running the kindness movement. It was when I was in New York. I had just retired from running a psychometric company.
Okay.
And I was thinking about whether I should go back to law. I had been in practice for about 10 years before that.
Right.
And so there was this gap where I was running the psychometric company. The psychometric company was interesting. It was based in America. I was in New York walking down the street one day, just thinking about what my next chapter was going to be. I was already 63 at the time. And then the phone call came and I was asked to consider coming back and to be interviewed for the kindness movement. Right. And that's what happened.
Right.
And then I spent the next 12 years running the kindness movement, plus another year as their consultant.
Right, wonderful.
And now I'm back in law.
William, tell me, what do you think prompted Singapore to start off something called the Singapore Kindness Movement?
Actually, a lot of people thought that I started it. I did not start it. It was already there. It is a continuation of the old National Courtesy Campaign started by the first Prime Minister, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew. And then under Mr. Goh Chok Tong, the second Prime Minister, it became the Singapore Kindness Movement, just a change of name, the broadening of its mandate. Courtesy was purely courtesy, how to say thank you, be nice to one another. But kindness is more than that. It's got more depth and more width.
Why do you think Singapore is making an emphasis on that?
I think if you go back to the National Courtesy Campaign, Mr. Lee had the foresight to know that if you want to be a great nation, it's not enough just to have all the hard skills and all the, economic development and infrastructure. You also need the soft skill. You need the character. You need the better version of each and every citizen. And to be courteous is just one of those things that you can visibly show, that you are a better version of yourself. That's what it is. And I still believe in it. A nation is not about beautiful buildings and, nice places to go to. I often tell visitors to Singapore, tourists, that it would be nice if they have come to Singapore, seen all the beautiful places, and be able to go back and tell people that I've gone to Singapore, I've seen beautiful places, enjoyed beautiful environments, clean, safe, and nice food. But I also enjoy meeting the people. They're beautiful people, they're kind people, courteous people. I think that would be truly a great thing for Singapore to be known for.
William, you've had such a rich history in corporate as well. Law firms, non-profits, etc., etc. Singapore is just like an organization in many ways.
Yeah.
Do you see parallels with what you're sharing? Economic prosperity, and clearly Singapore is doing amazing with that. Is there room, and what's the value of kindness in organizations, you feel, in general?
In fact, in your neighboring New Zealand, you had one prime minister who attempted to incorporate kindness into politics, into her life. Remember Ardane?
Was it Jacinda?
Jacinda.
Wonderful.
Of course, she didn't last very long as prime minister, but nonetheless, I think she tried very hard to incorporate kindness into everything that she was doing as a prime minister and as a politician. There's been a number of books written about kindness in leadership, or lead with kindness. In fact, kindness has become a buzzword these days because people realize that there is something about kindness that actually is good not only for the nation and for other people, it's also good for yourself. Because, we've got both physics and chemistry in our body. So the chemistry like oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine, these are neurotransmitters that actually influence the way we behave, the way we think, and our attitudes and so on. It comes from inside of us. And when we practice kindness or receive kindness, studies have shown that we become a better person. We feel better about ourselves, and as a result, we can feel better about others.
Yes.
We can then influence each other to become better versions of ourselves, greater than where we are.
Right.
And in that way, I think it contributes both to organizational goodness and success as well as to individual success.
Right.
So it is a good thing to have.
Reminds me, I was just watching a TED Talk by the wonderful Daniel Goleman, who, as you may know, is known as the father of emotional intelligence. And he talks about how kindness, or rather compassion, very often as a gift, very often when we do amazing things for others, acts of kindness and service, it's sometimes, part of that is also for self, because you can't help but feel good about yourself.
Right.
When you do it, and you feel good about yourself, naturally it shows up in your performance, your productivity, whether or not others, family or colleagues want to work with you, collaboration, in order to get stuff done. But he also emphasized that when you do think of the impact of your service on the other human being, that's when that deep lasting fulfillment and that pleasurable things that last.
Whether we talk about compassion or happiness, and there are many happiness surveys and happiness studies and compassion, kindness, all these are related studies. Sometimes these words are used synonymously, compassion, kindness.
Yes.
And of course, today we hear a lot about mindfulness, for example. I have 3 fullness, if you like. I think all this is about living a fulfilled life. And the idea of a fulfilled life is to fill to the full.
Fill to the full.
Yeah,
Wow.
you fill
okay.
your life to the full.
Fill or fail?
Fill.
Fill.
F-I-L-L.
Beautiful. Fill. Got
to
it.
fill your
Love
life
that.
to the so it's fulfilled life.
Got it.
I have written a whole book about living well and leaving well, through the valley. Actually, the book is titled and subtitled Living Well and Leaving Well, right?
Beautiful.
So what does it mean to live well? Is to live a fulfilled life, filled to the full.
Yes.
And there are 3 fullness things that I often think about and I try to practice. The first is mindfulness. Mindfulness is, of course, a Buddhist thing. It's also a Christian thing. It could be a Hindu thing. It goes back in history. Even in the Christian tradition, there's been anchorites and the desert fathers who contemplate, who meditated. To be mindful is to be conscious of your present.
Yes.
To be aware of your surrounding. To be aware of your breathing, for example. That's why you have breathing exercises. And very often, we as we grow older, we say, oh, that's a senior moment. We can't remember where we leave our keys. We can't remember where we leave our spectacles. But actually, it is not that we forgot. It's simply because we have not even bothered to remember.
Right.
So mindfulness also helps us to remember. You take a simple exercise. You leave a key there and you pause for 2 seconds just to remember that you left the key there.
Right.
You cannot say, I don't know where I left my key after that. But it is the mindlessness that we leave something, walk on, and then we can remember where we left it. Because we never bothered to remember.
Yes.
So it's not about having forgotten, it's about having not bothered to remember. Right. Mindfulness helps us to live everyday life being conscious of such things.
In the present.
It also means being conscious of others within our living space.
Yes.
So I talk about, being good neighbors. We're not even aware that we have neighbors. We're not even bothered to know our neighbors. So I often say in our tagline that we are neighbors by chance, but we are friends by choice. So we make a conscious effort to connect and become friends. Like what we did just now, we met Dr. Timothy Loh. Both of us knew him and we have seen him before, and he said the same thing. You look familiar. And I said, you look familiar too. And we started a conversation and sure we knew each other.
Yes.
But if we were not conscious of his presence and he not conscious of our presence, then we ignore each other. We'll never reconnect. So this mindfulness is so important in our daily life. I also talk about thankfulness, In fact, before thankfulness, maybe I should talk about thankfulness, mindfulness and then thankfulness. Living a life of gratitude every day, being thankful is so important. I'm thankful for this opportunity. You are thankful for having me. Absolutely. We're all thankful, We met Nas, who's been setting this up, and he remembered me, and I'm thankful he remembered me. Yeah. And thankful that we are fellow human beings, having relationship with each other. We should be thankful for so many things in life that we will not take things for granted, and we will not have this entitlement mindset, because we realize, like the tortoise on the post, that the tortoise never got up there by itself. Somebody, a lot of people maybe, set us up on that post, and we are thankful for everyone. Right. And so finally, helpfulness. We got to be helpful. That's another fulfilling thing.
Yes.
That's what you just said just now.
Yes.
Helpful, kind, and then you are impacting others, and as a result, you feel happy. Beautiful. When you make other people happy. In solemnizing marriages, I'm one of the solemnizers in Singapore. I always tell young people, you need to get married not because you want your spouse to make you happy. Yeah. You should be saying, I marry you to make you happy. So when we say that, we are in control of our action to make your spouse happy. If you say the other way, please, you make me happy, you're leaving it to your spouse, which you have no control over, her or his action.
Yes.
Control our own action. Make your spouse happy, and you can be happy together for a very long time.
That is so beautiful. Thank you for the reminder. Yeah. I think 3 points that you raised there is attention, mindfulness,
Yes.
being present in the moment.
Yeah.
One of the greatest gifts we can give
Right.
others is
Yeah.
the gift of our presence.
That's right. Undivided attention when we are talking to each other, for example.
And for each moment, each person in our life coming from a place, and every opportunity coming from a place of gratitude.
That's right. Thankfulness, gratitude.
There's nothing I need even more in my life. And yet, I think the third area you speak about is that helpfulness.
yeah.
And very often to be helpful,
Right.
it starts off with that intent
That's right.
of wanting to be of service,
Right.
to make the lives of other people even better.
Right.
And very often that requires for us to also stretch, to grow outside our comfort zone.
Right.
You know, I was watching your wonderful TED Talk pro bono work
All right,
that
yes.
you did for, when
Right.
you were starting off your
That's
career.
Right. That's right.
2 tough gigs that you
Right.
invested in significantly because you felt in your heart it was the right thing to do. And but clearly, you needed to stretch, to learn, to be able to overcome significant
Yeah.
opposition and
That is
challenges
true.
to achieve
Yes,
that.
yes.
Yeah.
One phrase that we can actually learn to use in our everyday life, whether it's at work or at home or in a social context, is to be able to look somebody in the eyes and say, Dom, how can I set you up for success? How can I help you to succeed? If you can ask that and everybody ask each other that, we are helping each other to succeed. So I often think of life, you can either be a boat in an ocean and it's very rough, and you stir up a storm and the boat will sink.
Right.
Because many of us are weak boats. We are broken boats and we will not be able to withstand the storm. We will sink. On the other hand, if we are on a calm sea, tranquil sea, a peaceful sea, when the tide rises, all the boats rise together. So I say to myself, am I going to live my life by stirring up storms unnecessarily? Or am I going to be the peacemaker and, calm the sea so that all of us can rise together when the tide rises?
Right.
And I remember this word, from my own scriptures, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God.
William, it's just my realization and awareness. I'm definitely work in progress with some of the key things that you shared about. We're aware, and yet we constantly need to work on it, especially today when we have digital devices.
Yes.
Firstly, from my upbringing, and certainly the world is moving so fast, we can be very task-oriented. What do I need to do?
Yes.
And not only that, there's this thing that's giving us so much instant gratification
Right.
that even in the presence of other people, I find that I'm actually not present for them.
Right.
Right? Because when you're thinking about work, what you need to do, the deadline, the digital thing that's tempting you to see what's the next news, or the social media thing that's popping up. Do you feel that based on your work, the current generation or the younger generation is finding it even tougher to embrace some of that?
From what you just said, I was just thinking that we are often asked to live our life to the nth degree.
And
Meaning,
yes.
To the highest level,
Optimize.
highest success, optimizing, multiplying our profitability, and so on. So a lot of success is defined that way. But the way I'm seeing it is to live our life to the M degree, not the nth degree. The
Tell
M,
me
starting
more.
with M.
M.
MTH, remember?
MTH.
Mindfulness, thankfulness, helpfulness. So if we live our life to the M degree, the first thing we need to do in the mindfulness thing is to say, let's be mindful, that there is a deeper meaning to life, a deeper purpose to life than just to be a money machine, a money-making machine, a vending machine. If people find that purposeful, I can tell you that when they reach a certain age and when they realize that all these acquisitions not going to take them any further because they have reached a certain limit like everybody else where all these things would not mean a lot because, if you are not well, if you are in a hospital bed or you are old and weak, no amount of money or no amount of good food would satisfy you because you can't even consume them.
Yes.
And you become immobile and you can't even drive your beautiful, expensive cars. Then you realize that actually we are all the same. We all end up in the same place.
Yes.
Then, the mindfulness must start now, that you got to ask yourself, you want to scale that mountain. At the end of it, when they're up there, what is there you're looking for? You see, there is no end to scaling. We must come to a place where we need to learn mindfulness of contentment. That enough is enough, and it is time for me to give back to society. It's not just about thriving and striving for myself. And so that mindfulness is so important. It's not just about being calm and peaceful. It's about being mindful of what we are meant for as human beings. To live for what?
Right.
What is the meaning and what is the purpose?
It seems like yesterday when I attended your amazing 70th birthday celebration. And man, talk about legacy and seeing the love in that room, full of praise and admiration, authentic testimonials. Speaking of the wonderful man that you are, of course, seeing you on stage, singing and grabbing the mic. Oh my goodness.
It was fun.
It was fun, but it seemed like just yesterday, and yet you were telling me this morning that you're 79.
Yeah, I'll be 79.
Unbelievable.
This is my 79, reaching my 79 soon.
Oh my goodness. Anyone seeing or watching and hearing this will not believe that, because you just exude this energy, this vitality, this love and passion for life. Tell me, what's your secret sauce? What keeps you going and not in survival mode, but in flourishing mode at 79?
Well, I'm a human being. I mean, to be honest, there are times when I feel sad too, Recently, I lost a friend, a mentee, who was only 67.
Wow.
And he came to Singapore and passed away here from Hong Kong. He was in ICU for more than 2 months. I was visiting him about twice a week in ICU. He was a former Secretary of Commerce and Economic Development in Hong Kong, a fellow lawyer. I encouraged him to law school, and he succeeded and made good for himself. But he had aneurysm when he was here. So that made me very sad, because I actually thought he was recovering, and then he went back into coma. Feel sad for the family. Feel sad for myself too, that we have lost him. So there are times of sadness and grief, and that's okay. We need to learn to grieve well. But on the whole, I'm a happy person because I am contented. I feel like I have lived a life that is hopefully more other-centered than self-centered. I think my secret is to live one day at a time. I start my day with some quiet moments of contemplation, thinking about what's going to happen today and what can I contribute, and end the day with being thankful to God for having spent the day and looking forward to another day. At the end of the day, no matter what I have done or not done for that day, incomplete work, and there's more to do the next day, I sleep well because I commit it all to God, and I say that, as you help me today, help me tomorrow. Right. So I can do what I need to do.
Right.
And success, and that's another secret of mine, if you can call it a secret. Success is defined by me in a very different way. And I'm sure there are others who share this view. My success is not about how much I have, but how much I have given. My success is not defined by whether I am rich or well-educated or done a whole lot of things, but whether I have lived my life faithfully according to the gifts God has given to me, that I am prepared to share my time, my treasure, and my talent to make the world a better world.
I can imagine that at 79, having lived that rich life that you've had with all these wonderful adventures, goal setting would have been part of your rituals?
Goal setting is also a very interesting concept. Goal setting is what we all do. We are told that, if you don't plan, then you will never get there, right? I mean, you have no idea where you're going.
If you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right?
That's right. If you don't plan, you plan to fail. The answer to that is yes, we do need some planning, but remember that no matter how we plan, we really have no control over what's going to happen tomorrow.
Absolutely.
My friend passed at 67. I'm sure that he didn't plan to pass at 67. He was planning to retire and enjoy the fruits of his labor. Well, it's the same for all of us. We can plan, but please remember that even as we plan, there is a bigger planner who may have a different plan for our life. So I'm humbled to be given another day to achieve my plan. But I'm also prepared to accept that he may not want to give it to me. So living day by day and planning, they are not self-contradictory. They are not incompatible.
Right.
It is humility to know that we can plan, but we may not achieve our plan.
Absolutely.
It is good, being a good planner, to plan just because we like to think that maybe the great planner will give us another day to achieve our plan. So both can come together. Yeah, I think that's how I like to live. So going forward, I have reinvented myself many times, right? I mean, I've been a professor at the university. I've been managing director of a company. I've been a lawyer, running a law firm. I have been a pastor. And so on. So there's a lot of reinvention. I'm reinventing myself again at my age, and now I'm a partner at CNP Law.
Oh, wow.
And I am trying to learn again because the processes and procedures of law practice have changed tremendously.
Amazing.
I'm now learning from younger people, how to use the processes, and the procedures have also changed, and a lot of AI generated stuff, IT, driven stuff. I got to learn all that.
Wow.
Even the law have changed. I have to relearn quite a bit of things.
Right.
So lifelong learning is part of my life. Reinventing is part of my life. I have this tagline: I'm not retired. I'm simply refired.
Wow.
Yeah. So I keep looking at the future, and I say I'm refired, and hopefully I still continue as long as I am able to. As long as my mind is still intact, I'm still mobile.
Right.
I want to work and serve and give as long as I can, because I'm refired and not retired.
That is absolutely beautiful. And that's one of the things that we look to impart for employees to create amazing cultures in organizations to come to work, with that mindset. The economics are important, clearly, and yet to let the primary motivators to be about that growing to fulfill even more of your highest potential in the course of making a difference, in the course of living a legacy in your own unique way.
I think legacy is something that is like happiness. It is not something that you aim to have. If I aim to be happy and I just think that I can pursue happiness, happiness is evasive.
Yes.
It's like if you're going down a slope, skiing down the slope, you catch the wind. You don't chase the wind.
Yes.
So if you chase happiness and you chase fulfillment, you're like chasing after the wind, and you won't catch it. But if you are just doing what you need to do, going down the slope, being happy in doing what you need to do, and you just go, and the wind catches you, then happiness catches you. You feel happy.
That's beautiful.
Same thing with fulfillment. Same thing with legacy.
Yes.
See, legacy catches you because at the end of the day, if you look back and others look back and they say, oh, you have impacted this, you have done that. But that is something that you've done.
Yes.
You did not aim for legacy. Legacy catches you.
That is so beautiful. You're a master of language, Dr. Wan.
I try.
I mean, it's one thing to live a life, and when you impart it on others, your languaging and how you leave it behind. One of the key things that will always stick with me is living to the nth degree.
Yeah, it's because the nth degree and not the nth degree.
Correct. Because it summarizes it, right? M is mindful, in the moment. T is thankfulness.
Right.
So starting from the place of gratitude, as you say, using the analogy of skiing down and catching the wind, you have a destination, and yet it comes from a place of I'm already enough. I'm grateful for what I have. And to fulfill the H in the course of helpfulness. right? I need to continue to flourish and learn and grow to be the best I can be. And, you know, for a lot of people, I think they're inspired by seeing the role model of someone who's 79 and partner of a law firm. Congratulations, by the way. I saw that text
Well,
about...
it's fifth thanks to the firm because, I mean, at my age, I'm still given a place in the firm. That's something to be grateful for. It's not... I don't take all these things for granted. I don't always, in fact, I shouldn't feel like I deserve it. I mean, and that's where the word grace comes from. I think more and more of us need to understand grace. Grace is a beautiful word. The great hymn "Amazing Grace" was written by a former slave owner. After he found God, he discovered grace. That grace is about forgiveness, forgiving him for all the wrongs he's done to the black people in Africa. When he traded in slaves, he became a pastor. He wrote "Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound." I think grace is so important. Grace simply means undeserved favor. If we have the understanding of grace and we live by grace and in grace and we share grace, that means we do not have to feel that we deserve anything. We don't, but we are given.
Beautiful.
So it's a gift. Then we see everything as a gift, friendship as a gift, finances, good, healthy finances as a gift, life as a gift, health as a gift, the ability to help others as a gift. If everything is gifted, then we live with a great understanding of grace. Right. But if we live as if we deserve everything, then it's an entitlement mentality. There is no grace.
Yes.
I will give you only if you give me.
Yes.
You see? Whereas grace is about unconditional love. I love you even though you don't love me. I give you even though I got nothing to get from you. That is grace.
I still remember the time when my second son, Aaron, got his very first job at Hoyt's Theatre. And I know that he was stressed interviewing for the role and he got that role. And Dr. Wan, he was so excited.
Yeah.
I still remember the moment before he started his first day and I sat down with him and I says, "Son, you're old enough, you don't need lectures from dad anymore."
Yeah.
And it would be undeserving if, as your dad, I didn't share some of my own life learnings. As a corporate coach, very often you see organizations, and one of the deep reasons for unhappiness in the workplace is this mindset of entitlement. You want me to do this, you wanted me to change my role, I wasn't hired for it, you need to give me this or pay me more.
Right.
I think that mindset, I always say to my son, I said, that feeling of gratitude that you have right now, don't ever lose that.
Right.
The company didn't have to give you that role. In fact, being an entrepreneur myself, I know my number one gift or my number one asset is reputation. This organization is entrusting you. Its reputation is at stake every day, depending on how you show up. In every interaction, he was working at Hoyt Cinema. There was what he was about to get into. And everyone that comes up to buy that popcorn, buy that ticket, make sure that you exude that gratitude so that the customer experiences it. Right. And there will be times when you'll have unhappy people to deal with at work. It's just normal. Never lose sight of that, that mindfulness and that gratitude.
That leads me to another concept that I think we need to tell our young people that ultimately we are all trustees and we are all stewards. If we consider life and talents and everything that we have as a gift, and in my case, I believe in God, so it's a gift from God, then I don't actually own any of that. I'm not the legal owner. I'm simply a trustee. And as a trustee, I need to figure out how to steward these things so that they can be used maximally to the optimum for the benefit of others, more than for myself. That actually drives me to live my life in a certain way.
In your journey, you've spoken about kindness, the link of kindness to happiness. And clearly happiness, research has shown there's a clear link to performance, results, etc. as well. I think in the organizational context, where you are today, for instance, what practical advice would you give to leaders on how to bring about kindness? Because sometimes kindness can be viewed as soft, fluffy. How do you measure the benefits? What advice would you give to managers, leaders of organizations today?
If as leaders, we need to lead by example. Lead by example simply means that we need to have certain beliefs and certain values that we embrace. And if we believe that strongly enough, in my case, if I believe in the living to the nth degree strong enough, then I practice those things. When I practice them, then others who look at me, they will realize that I am sincere, genuine, I'm trying to be consistent. And in the kindness movement as an organization, when I took it over, it was a very small organization. I grew it in that number of years, and it became quite a significant national organization. That's what they all say to me. And when I started, people were telling me that since it's a non-profit and you're not going to pay your young people very well, and you need young people with talent and creativity to make it work, and I agree. And they say that if you can recruit them and they can stay for 3 years, you're very lucky. But in our organization, the average was about 8 years.
Wow.
And some of them stayed 12 years, 10 years. And to me, that's because I like to think that it's because they have found something worthwhile to do.
Right.
And they find someone worth working with, enjoy working with. So there are three things about organization that can help to fuel its growth, whatever the industry is. It is really about retention as well. And I will say that if we can retain people because we set a good example and they enjoy working with us, that's a good way to start. So 3 things about organization. Number 1, if you're working, find the work you really enjoy doing.
Right.
That means that when we recruit people, let's recruit them and fit them according to their passion and their interests.
Right.
And it's not just about their qualification. Okay, if you can find people who can enjoy what they do, that is a good way to go. Second, we must be people. We must be very conscious that we want to be bosses that they enjoy working with. That means we're going to be fair to them.
Yes.
We're going to be helpful to them. We're going to be mindful and all that we just talked about, right? And then they know that we care for them. As the saying goes, people don't care what you say until they see that you care, right? So the caring is so important. And then the last part is that we are in a position to create an environment where it is safe for them to work and they enjoy working in a safe environment,
right?
A fair and safe environment. So it's all about how to create an environment and how to be a person and how to help them fit into a position where they enjoy being and doing.
Right.
I think we will succeed.
Dr. Wan, for those listeners listening in, very often they might have a question around kindness and managing performance.
Yes.
So in organizations, if you see someone who's underperforming, or even in situations where the practical realities is sometimes organizations needing to pivot and survive, they have to change and let staff go, etc., so that the greater good, the greater team can stay afloat. What advice would you give? What is your perspective of kindness in those situations?
During my time in the kindness movement, the Straits Times particularly has given me a lot of coverage, and I'm thankful for that. And one of the articles Miss Long, Susan Long, wrote about me was titled Kindness with Muscles.
Kindness with muscles. Okay.
Yeah, you can still Google that. I think it's still in there.
Okay.
Kindness with muscles. It was a full-page interview about me and my work and what I think of kindness. And I often tell people that kindness is not weakness. Please, kindness is not weakness. In fact, if you are on a MRT and you see this older gentleman come up there and nobody's giving up the seat to him, and you're not seated in a priority seat, you're seated in a normal seat, and you stand up and give your seat to that old gentleman, and everybody looking at you and thinking, why are you doing that? Are you trying to show off or something? And if you're able, as a young person in particular, to stand up and give up that seat, you are being very brave. Because you are not one of the majority not giving up the seat. You are a minority. You are you are into the limelight. People are watching you.
Yes.
And if you can stand up and give up your seat, you are being strong. You're not being weak.
Yes.
There is courage in being kind. So if I'm a leader, and I still am in some ways, and if I have to let somebody go because it's not a good fit or whatever, I can still do it kindly. It doesn't mean that I don't do it. If I'm running a public listed company, I'm also responsible to my stakeholders, including shareholders and so on. So I can't run the business into the red. I need to generate profit because they're investors. So there is that part of economics. So how do I let people go? There is a kind way of letting people go, and there is an unkind way. And we got to let them go kindly. Give you an example. I have people in my previous law firm where I had to let a person go because it's not a good fit. And when it's not a good fit, it's really not his or her problem. It's our problem. We made a mistake about employing that person. So I said that you are better as an in-house counsel.
Right.
And since you're only here for 6 months, instead of saying that you only work here for 6 months and you left, your next job is going to be difficult because your interviewer is going to ask, why you only stay there for 6 months? So what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to write you a letter of reference. And I'm going to say, and quite factually, it's not a lie, that you were engaged and you were given a project for 6 months and you completed it and you're moving on.
Right.
That's fine, right? And if you are an employee here, you're not going to ask too many questions because this person has talent, and it's not private practice and in-house. They're very different. And so she moved into in-house. And today she's the head of in-house, and she's very grateful to me for rescuing her from a bad fit.
Fantastic.
And we are still in touch.
Yes.
And she's the head of in-house now in that particular organization. It's been like 20 years.
Yes.
So you move people in a kind way. You don't rubbish them, and you don't make them unemployable.
Yes.
And to me, you can still be firm about keeping or not keeping a certain person, and you can be kind in moving that person out. And that's only one example of many.
That's beautiful. And we hire people with all the best intentions.
Right. Yeah, I also wanted to add that over the last many years, I've been appointed to be chairing inquiry committees or inquiry commission to deal with senior people who have done what is considered or alleged to have done wrong, whether it's moral issues or whatever it is. And I've been asked to chair. Now you say to yourself, you're a kindness person. Why are you asked to chair? Because chairing means that we have to make difficult decisions, including firing the person. And it has happened to a number of organizations where I chair, where we actually recommend the committee supporting it, that this person that we are inquiry into has to be let go. Why me? I'm supposed to be kind. In fact, in one case, there was a big press conference, and my friend called and said, how can you do this to this guy? You're not kind. Then I tried to explain that actually it's very kind to the organization and kind to that person that he's disciplined. Because if that guy has done wrong and is not disciplined, how can you say you're kind? If you're a father and you keep spoiling your kid, how can you say you be kind to the kid? There are many kids who grew up ending themselves in prison because the parents have spoiled them, have not been able to discipline them when discipline is needed. So if you don't discipline, whether it's a staff or a child, you are not kind.
Because very often when you're silent in those situations, silence is also communication.
Yes.
There's the assumption that
you
this
approve.
is okay.
You
We may not have been aware that we've acquiesced
Yes.
in that behavior.
Yes. So yes, kindness is not weakness, my friends.
Kindness with muscle. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Kindness with muscle.
I must get that link so that we can share with the audience
Yeah,
as well,
yeah.
where we can pick up that article.
Yeah.
I'm going to read it with great interest as well. Dr. Wan, we're close to, there's so many things I can unpack with you, and yet I know that we're mindful of time. I just have one final question, if I may, to close on today. As you reflect on your life and work, Dr. Wan, what do you hope the next generation of leaders will carry forward?
I hope that the next generation of leaders, whether it's in politics, in government, or in industry, and in social service context, let's all be a better version of ourselves. As an old Indian chief said many, many years ago, and it could be true or not true, but the point remains true, that there are two animals in us. One has a tendency to be ferocious and wicked and not good. One is good. Whether the good come out of us or the bad come out of us depend on which animal we feed. We need to feed the good one.
Wow.
Focus on character. Focus on values. Focus on the straight and narrow road. Then that animal will come out and bless the world.
That's such a wonderful way to finish off on this. The best thing, what I'm hearing you say, is the best thing you can do for others is to seek to always be the even better version of you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's always work in progress.
Wonderful.
Always continuing. We have never always arrived, but we are always arriving.
Thank you, Dr. Wan, for
Thank you.
enriching my life.
Thank you for the privilege.
Enlightening me. MTH will always linger in the heart, and it's something I'll cherish.
That's our live to the nth degree.
Kindness with muscle, being the even better version of yourself each and every day.
Thank you.
Starting from a place of gratitude that I am enough and I want to be even better in the next moment. It's been an enlightening conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you too.